All right. So tell me a little bit about you obviously have like a super interesting perspective, and you are basically in two different roles right now with Who What Where and also with your new launch of Augie. So can you just maybe describe kind of your roles in both of them and just a little background on both?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been at Who What Where, I think around 3.5 years. And I love it mostly because of the variety of what I get to work on there. So it's obviously, most of you will know Who What Wear. It's one of the first digital fashion magazines. It started 14 years ago when Vogue didn't even have a website. It was first style.com, then vogue.com. And it really changed it really like democratized style. I think 14 years ago is when, and I'll get into my sort of path, but 14 years ago was when blogging was just starting to begin. There was a segment on the very first, in the beginning of Who What Where, that was MySpace Muses. Remember MySpace?
God. We had a MySpace page at my store. That was the first social media page. That was 2008. So a long time ago, amazing. MySpace was the thing.
Exactly. So Who What Wear is a publication that I've always respected so much, kind of like grown up with, so to speak, in this industry. And then I joined 3.5 years ago to essentially run an in-house influencer marketing agency. So under the Who What Wear umbrella, we run influencer campaigns from brands ranging from Walmart to Gucci and everything in between, mostly in fashion and beauty. We dabble sometimes outside of that in other categories. We just did something with Impossible Foods, for example, which have you tried? I can't figure out why it tastes so good. Like, what? But yeah, so we run campaigns. Sometimes, this whole space started with advertisers coming to us for branded content stories. Then those branded content stories started to include influencers. Now more and more they include influencers. And then sometimes they just come to us for influencer solutions and it doesn't even have a media component on Who Got it. So basically I'm launching Augie, should be live in a couple of months. Long story short, the biggest challenge for me as a mom was, there are so many challenges, right? Like the sleeplessness and all of it. But as a new mom, especially when I went back to work, after you in this country, like I have a generous company and I think the max we get is 4 months. I'm from Australia where so many people will take, minimum 6, but often a year. Yeah. So, I'm like back at work, your boobs are leaking, you're like, my belly's still not together. I'm like hoisting myself into like real clothes every day, schlepping my ass to work, just exhausted because at 4 months, the baby's not even sleeping through the night. I'm going to meetings and then taking pump breaks in between, that's like a whole thing. Yeah. You're just literally physically drained. Rushing home to make it home in time for bath time and bedtime, get my little babe to sleep, flop down on my bed, exhausted, and then feeling like I had a whole night of research ahead of me to figure out whatever it was that we were in that stage. I think most people, it's pretty funny, like when you're a first-time mom, you think, I don't know, I didn't even know how to change a diaper, and you think, I'm going to learn all of that at the hospital, but like you really don't. Yeah. You really don't. And then beyond that, even what you learn to begin with, what you don't realize is there's just constant learning. You might have gotten them to sleep. You've sleep trained them, but then it's time to start solids. Like that's a whole thing. And then, I'm at the stage now where we're about to tackle potty training. Like that feels like a whole big subject to me. Like I have no idea how to do that. Yeah. And this feeling like there wasn't sort of one central place I could go to just learn in a succinct manner from trusted experts was very frustrating for me. Yeah. Don't have the time or concentration to read books when you're a mom. No. I'd be borrowing a little bit from a podcast here, a little bit from an article there, trying to Google search and just like piece it all together. And it was so stressful. So I decided to start Augie. It will essentially be, I won't give too much away, but an education platform that's really going to change all that. It'll be your one-stop shop where you can do really streamlined learning on any given topic from experts that you can trust.
That's incredible. Oh, that's great. I hope it goes all the way to like 15-year-olds.
Yes, it will. It will though. No, truly. It'll start
until 11.
It'll start with younger kids, but then that's what I mean. The learning does not stop.
There's so much.
It gets harder, right?
Like I'm in like the puberty stage. You're in like your kid, like teaching them how to pee in a potty. I mean, they're both so daunting. And you know, like you know what to do, but you don't know what to do. It's like and there's too much information. It's information.
There's too much information. Exactly. I wasn't trying to create more information. I'm trying to streamline it. Yeah.
So you're from Australia, obviously. And Australians have such amazing style and specific style. I feel like, do you feel like your style has changed from living in Los Angeles versus to what it was before? Kind of what's your,
I don't think my style changed so much from moving. I feel when I first moved to LA, so I owned a clothing label that I started in Australia, and that's what brought me over here. And then I still had that for the first, I want to say like 4 or 5 years that I lived here.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that aesthetic stayed very Australian. I think the Australian aesthetic kind of like dominated fashion.
Oh, totally.
Oh
my gosh. Yes.
Even that, in Australia, our brand, it was called Style Stalker. It was really successful off the bat because it kind of filled this gap in between high street, which was well priced, but in Australia at the time, terrible. We didn't have anything like Zara or H&M or Topshop. We didn't have any of that. We just had like random not good stuff.
Yeah.
And then we had Australian designers who were amazing, but they're pretty expensive, like $400 for a little sundress. I was in college. That's not affordable.
No.
You're in college, you want to wear something new every day. So we kind of filled that gap that was in the middle of that, which really didn't, and this is 15 years ago, didn't really exist at the time. And since then, like that category specifically, I think became dominated by Australian brands. There are so many awesome Australian brands. Now a lot of incredible American and brands, but for a period of time, I want to say like it's almost following in our footsteps. Australia kind of really nailed that category.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think my style changed because of that. I think my style's changed a lot because my lifestyle's changed. Being a mom, also the places that I work. So as I mentioned, I've been at Who What Wear for the last couple of years. Everyone's much more corporate, so I love to like rock a suit. I feel so powerful in meetings in like even if it's like a pink suit or something. I love a suit moment.
So your style is some mix between super feminine and sporty. Like, is that your signature combo, or kind of what's your?
Oh, so sorry. Yeah, I would say it's so dependent on the life phase that I'm in.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, when I was like in an office every day, I really leaned into that. I love that. Before that, I was at Revolve. And I was, designing there as well. And so I was wearing my own stuff, but it was like so normal to go to work in a crop top there. And I remember early on in my days in Who What Wear, I wore a crop top to work, and they're a bit like,
they're like, no, maybe not.
Maybe not, and obviously now I'm at home. So today I'm still in my pajamas. It's one of those days, but that happens. And for me now, it's just literally been about coordinated sweats. Like I just love neutral colors, everything very soothing, coordinated sets.
And something that's easy.
Exactly. Yeah. And like I love a good earring we're all on Zoom. I love like a good lip or a good earring.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what are your, being home now, what's your daily, like we call them our particulars, like the things that you always put on, like your accessories or your makeup or whatever?
Exactly. So I always put on, as I said, a matching pair of sweats.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like, you know what, in more specifically, like knitted sweat sets. So on the top, it looks like more like a sweater than a sweatshirt, if that makes sense.
Yep.
I didn't have any client meetings today, so hence I'm still in my pajamas. And then I'll do, if I have meetings where I'm on Zoom, I'll literally just pop in an earring. I honestly pop them in and out because like I like a nice chunky earring. It's kind of like, okay, well, if I have no meetings in the afternoon, they're coming off, or vice versa. So they kind of like sit on they're not here now, but they're usually like sitting on my desk. My favorite pair of earrings from Missima. I don't know if you know that brand. It's an English brand. They're so cool. I'll send you a photo or a link of that.
Yeah.
So they sit on my desk. They go on for meetings. I'll do like a lip, sometimes a necklace, but like pretty minimal.
Yeah, keep it easy, especially with a young son. Yeah,
exactly. I have stretched out washing my hair. I used to wash my hair every other day, and like my COVID thing has been to like wash it like every 4 or 5 days. So depending where I am, I'll put it in like a bun or whatever.
Yeah, that's incredible. My hair would be like an oily mess. I'm like,
yeah, you've got to train it. Like you got to get
trained. Yeah,
I was already on every 2 days, then you push it to 3. Yeah, stay with that for a while.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I'm gonna like end it there. I think we got like very good questions and answers from you. So
welcome.
I want to say thanks so much for taking the time, and I hope to meet you in person one day. And that cute little boy of yours. So
you were like our first pandemic interview that we were like, maybe we shouldn't do this but after it was we were supposed to interview like in the beginning of March. I remember last year.
Yes.
Everyone was like,
oh my God,
maybe this isn't a good idea. But I'll follow up with you, Rachel, and give you the scoop on everything else. I see some photos and stuff from you, but we'll get it all settled.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Rachel. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.